And then from a personal background perspective, I do have an Indian background. I was born in India. I left when I was very, very young. Spent my formative years in Dubai, and then my teenage and my career really across Canada, East Coast, Toronto, West Coast, and then spent around 7 to 8 years in the Netherlands and in Europe, really working on the energy space there. And then came back to Canada and started EnergyX. So that's how good ideas come up, right? When you have a problem and then you go to solve it, and then you're able to solve it in a way that fits everyone's needs. And that's really the impetus of EnergyX. To be balanced yourself, trying to be calm yourself, and trying to understand that business will continue. There will be chaos in the family, but if you're well centered, you can tackle that for what it's worth, as opposed to letting it dominate your life. Last thing I'll say to that is having the right team members around you. I've been very fortunate to have a great co-founder who started the company alongside with me, who has a very different skill set. So we balance each other out. We were able to get a strong team in place. Most of the team members that we started the company with are still with us today. Number one is take your time. We're so focused on expecting everything to fall into place as they should. One of the biggest lessons I've learned in running my own business is everything takes.
Welcome to Class Act Lifestyle, your go-to hub for mastering the art of living well. Here, we empower you with life-changing skills, practical wisdom, and inspiring ideas to lead a fulfilling lifestyle. Discover a treasure trove of teachings from personal development to health, relationships, finance, and more.
Hello everyone, this is Pratik coming at you from your own YouTube channel Class Act Lifestyle. Today we have one more renowned guest for you. Someone who has lived his life through his ups and downs and have made to a very successful platform. He owns a big company. He knows how the startup world looked like, how he made a progress in that. We are here for a treat. We are going to learn from this guest to a very fruitful way. He's going to share his wisdom, how he made to such a big level, and how he is going to help us reach to that level is what we are going to learn. Today's guest is none other than Nishaant Sangaavi. He has been into Netherlands, India, Canada, United States. You talk about it. He has made a big fortune out of his way, and he's going to share it with us today. Without further ado, please help me welcome Nishaant Sangaavi. Hello everyone, this is Pratik coming at you from Classic Lifestyle, and today we, as I said, we have a phenomenal guest with us. His name is Nishaant Sangaavi. He's the CEO of a company called EnergyX, and today he is with us to help and share with us some of the business nuggets and how he reached to a successful level. So without further ado, please help me welcome Nishaant Sangaavi. Hi
Thank
Nishaant, how are you?
Great. It's good to be here, and thanks for having me. And let's have fun with this.
Absolutely. So thank you for agreeing and taking out time from your busy schedule. I know we are, especially with this December month year end, you are always busy. You are meeting with a lot of clients and everyone. So thank you for taking out your time and helping us with this podcast.
Yeah, for sure. And you are right. I can't believe how quickly this year has gone by. It's yeah, we're going to be finishing the year very soon, and I don't know where it's gone. So
Absolutely.
it's
So,
great.
Nishan, why for the audience purpose, can you please describe yourself and can you share a quick background about yourself so that we can launch into a conversation?
Yeah, of course. Happy to do so. So I always like to start personal because I think it's important to connect and for people to know who I am. So on a personal level, I'm a father to three kids, and really enjoy doing that. I'm a husband, and family is a really important aspect of everything I do, and why I do what I do. And then from a personal background perspective, I do have an Indian background. I was born in India. I left when I was very, very young. Spent my formative years in Dubai, and then my teenage and my career really across Canada, East Coast, Toronto, West Coast, and then spent around 7 to 8 years in the Netherlands and in Europe, really working on the energy space there. And then came back to Canada and started EnergyX. So, had the opportunity to work across North America and Europe and really understand business culture there. And yeah, happy to provide any insights I can as we continue this conversation.
Awesome, that's a good one. Just to directly jump into the conversation, then, because you said you opened your own company, what inspired you to get into starting your own company and lead it to a very financial successful level? Because you just not opened a company, not just a startup, but you made it to a very huge company where you are serving more than, I don't know, almost more than 20, 60 clients. So, how did you get to that level, if you could, and what inspired you to get to that level?
Yeah, thanks, Pratik. A lot of work, a lot of blood, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears, and a lot of luck. And I really think it's a mixture between the two. There's this philosophy: is it work? Is it luck? I really think it's both. The harder you work, the luckier you get. But there's an element of luck and timing involved. I feel, at least in many things you do, at least from my journey perspective. So we'll dive right into it. As I mentioned, I spent a number of years in the Netherlands in the energy efficiency space. And that's really the company that I built, very much focused on energy efficiency and creating impact. And the European flavor of it is efficiency is really progressive in the Netherlands, across Europe. And I was able to really understand what that meant. And then fast forward to 2016, which is when I moved back to Canada, and I bought a home, and I had a high energy bill, like most people. And so I didn't know what to do with that. So I called my local utility at that time, and I spoke to one of the customer service reps. And I said, listen, I see my bill is really high. Is there anything I can do about it? And they gave me three comments. The first comment was a question, and they said, well, have you changed all your light bulbs into LED and really lowered your lighting costs? And I said, actually, yeah, it's a brand new home, so everything is LED lighting. The second comment was, well, have you got smart appliances? And have you got appliances that are, energy saving? And I said, yeah, well, again, new homes. So most of the appliances are smart and energy saving. And then the third was a comment, and they said, well, maybe you should just use less energy. And I realized, wow, well, if I knew that, and if I was actually doing that, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you. And the realization was how little the utility actually knew about my building and knew about how I was interacting and using energy. And that really came up with the impetus of the idea of what we do today, EnergyX. It's the ability for us to really understand what's going on in a homeowner and a business owner's building. It's the ability for us to provide that data to utilities so they can understand how this building is using energy and the best energy efficiency recommendations for that building. And then we have an online portal that connects homeowners and business owners with those recommendations so they can start to understand how they can lower energy themselves, connect to auditors, connect to contractors, and begin that journey of energy efficiency. So it was really in a problem that I faced myself that I was able to understand a potential solution to that. And I realized there wasn't anything out there that could satisfy my needs. So we went ahead, we were able to very fortunately raise some money and start a company that could solve that problem, which in reality is a problem that's faced by millions of homeowners and business owners. But at the same time, it's a problem and challenge that utilities are trying to solve themselves because they've got all these energy efficiency programs they want to get into the hands of homeowners and business owners. And so I think that's how most great ideas really come up. Not that we have a great idea, but let's just say it's an idea that's actually resonating. That's how good ideas come up, right? When you have a problem and then you go to solve it, and then you're able to solve it in a way that fits everyone's needs. And that's really the impetus of EnergyX.
That's a brilliant point. You like found out a problem, not found out. You faced a problem, and then you went on to solve that problem. Because startup world is not easy. It's like a cruel world out there. You want to come up with an idea, then people funding, getting a funding is not easy. So yeah, you bulldoze all those things. But then follow up question which comes to my mind is when you do a startup and everything, I saw that it gets a toll on your family. The work-life balance like shifts to like a significant part. Like you are not able to maintain that momentum in the family or in even in the work-life culture. It gets dominated by like family get dominated by the business or business get dominated by family. How do you maintain that? And also how did you put that startup or a how do you lead that company to a very big level?
Yeah, thanks, Pratik. So I think two questions there, and let's break it up part by part. So the first one was more about work-life balance and how do you balance the two. And I don't think there's anything like work-life balance. It's very personal and very individual. My wife is an entrepreneur as well. She has her own startup, which is growing equally fast as ours. And so, we really made that decision together as a couple that we were both going to go down the entrepreneurial route. And challenging for our kids because we've got three young kids, all under 11. And, they don't get to see their parents much. But our hope is what they realize is this impact that we're both having in our businesses and the amount of work that we're putting together in order to make it happen. And the realization there is for them, hopefully, to have that same frame of mind that if you see a problem and you don't see a solution to it, well, then you have the ability to go ahead and solve that problem yourself. And that's the learning that we want to impart on our kids. In terms of work life balance, again, I don't know if there's such a thing. I think at least what keeps me grounded is, I think, two things. Number one is, many years ago in November 2019, I went to this inner engineering workshop, and it was actually a meditation workshop. It was 2 full days of learning and understanding how to meditate. And we started it at 7 in the morning, and we went all the way till 8 in the evening, and we did it for 2 full days. And I was there with my business partner. The two of us went, and we actually opened it up to the entire company to join us. Whoever wanted to come could come to this workshop. And it really taught me the ability to balance myself internally by starting a day by meditating. And I swear by it. I mean, this was November 2019. A few months later, we had COVID, where really the world went crazy. And a year after that, I lost both my parents back to back within 6 months. And so there was a lot of emotional turmoil I was dealing with internally and running the business at the same time. So I think to answer your question in terms of work-life balance, I think it really goes down to trying to be balanced yourself, trying to be calm yourself, and trying to understand that business will continue. There will be chaos in the family, but if you're well centered, you can tackle that for what it's worth, as opposed to letting it dominate your life. So I think, I swear by the fact that meditation is a very important aspect of that for me to help achieve that balance. Your second point was, well, how do we get EnergyX to grow so much? And really, it's all about timing. And that's why I say, the thing with timing is you can't time timing. You can just do what you're doing, and if it's the right time at the right place, things will fall for you, which is what it did. We started the company in 2016. It was at a time where energy efficiency was at its peak. It was really taking off. There were a lot of utilities trying to understand how they could better serve their customers. The utility space was moving through a phase of digital transformation where they were trying to understand how to engage their customers digitally. Customers were facing high electricity bills. They were trying to understand how they could lower their costs and become more sustainable. And we had a solution that enabled that to happen. And so we found that need, and we were able to really grow on that need. And with that success comes additional financing opportunities, more clients, more growth, more credibility. Of course, you're going to have your ups and downs, and we did, right? We've gone through a pandemic, we've gone through a recession. We're still here, we're still growing. But I just feel it was the right time. And the last thing I'll say to that is having the right team members around you. I've been very fortunate to have a great co-founder who started the company alongside with me, who has a very different skill set. So we balance each other out. We were able to get a strong team in place. Most of the team members that we started the company with are still with us today. And in startup land, that is quite a feat, right? Because you have a lot of turnover. But the core members stayed with us because they believe in the impact we're having. So having the right team, having very strong customer intimacy, understanding that you're going to have your ups and downs, but you've got to stay grounded, you've got to stay balanced. I think are all aspects that really helped us grow over time.
What a brilliant answer! That is fantastic, amazing. Thanks for sharing. So that puts me, and sorry to hear about the losses during the COVID, which you had to go through. And it gives me opportunity to talk about the inner engineering program you talked about. I read that book by Sadhguru Jaggi Vasu. I got a chance to meet him personally back in 2009 in Hyderabad when I was there.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
I didn't realize that what I was getting into. I was like kid roaming around and all those things. But uh,
Yeah, we
I'm sure.
spent uh, we spent 2 full days with him. So 14 hours on day one, 14 hours on day two, and really meditating with him for 2 full days. And then the promise to that was, after you do that, you have to meditate by yourself for 40 straight days. That's the promise you make if you enroll in the class. And it really becomes habitual right after that, because now you've taught yourself how to get into that stage of reflection. And it honestly allowed me to not only be a better business person, but more so be a better human, be a better husband, be a better father, hopefully be a better son and a better brother, but really um, help me ground myself. But yeah, it's so glad that you sort of experienced that in a way, because it's one of those things that can really change you. At least it changed me. So
Absolutely, I completely agree with you there. Definitely recommend to all our podcast, whole people here, audience here, to definitely go through it and read at least the book. If you are not able to attend them in person, at least read the book Inner Engineering by Sadhguru. What were some of the valuable lessons while going through this company's insight and going through a turmoil in your personal life? What are some of the valuable lessons you learned? Quickly, if you can throw a light on that.
yeah, a few. Number one is take your time. We're so focused on expecting everything to fall into place as they should. One of the biggest lessons I've learned in running my own business is everything takes time. Now, more so when you work for utilities, because I think it's a very different way of looking at time when you're in a large industry, right? Most traditional conservative industries like the utility world or the financial space or banks or insurance look at time in a very different way. But really take your time because things will fall into place, but everything takes longer than when you think than what you'd expect it to be. When we raised our first financing round, I remember looking at that money and saying, oh yeah, well, you know what? I think this is going to last us 18 months. It lasted us 6 months, right? So always raise more than you need to, I feel, just because things are going to take time for you to get to where you want to get to in many things in life. So, one of the biggest lessons is take your time. And then the second biggest lesson for me was don't focus, and then maybe this is a lesson to my younger self. Don't focus on the money or where you're headed. Focus on, is this the learning and growth that I want? Because at the end of the day, the money will come. If it's meant to be, it'll be there. But the learning and the growth is what will drive you closer to having real impact and having not only financial freedom, but also just having that emotional component of what you do. So focus on the learning, focus on the growth. If there's something you're afraid of doing, do it. And I know that's easier said than done, but really it's that ability to really understand, well, I don't want to do this, this is why I don't want to do it, but if I do it, I'm going to learn and I'm going to grow from it, so I should do it. And if I think if you can sort of inculcate that sort of thinking along how you look at things, and that's how I start looking at things now. There are many things that I do not want to do, that I do not like doing, but if it's going to help me grow and learn, then I must do it because it'll make me better. And perhaps that's the biggest thing that Lisa has helped me continue on this journey.
Beautiful answer, beautifully crafted. And actually, align myself with that because it takes time to do whatever you want to do. Even this podcast, when I wanted to start back in 2015. It took me time to reach to 2023 to start this thing. Completely agree with you. So, how do you define?
And that in that retrospect, I think it was to me, it was, you needed that time, even though you didn't realize it had to be the right time for you to do it. So to me, the learning there is, you knew you wanted to do this. It took you longer to get there, but you eventually made it happen. And I think the timing that you did it was the time that you had to do it in, and you're better at it now than you would have been 5 6 years ago. And I think if we can accept that, because life isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. When I was younger, it was all about being a sprint, right? It was, well, we got to get there fast, we got to get there fast. Well, why? You've got to get there, and if it takes you longer to get there, the end destination is always going to be the same. Learn and grow and do what you need to, so when you get there, you're prepared for it.
Wow, a lovely line. Because I heard it like I want to ask this question, but that line comes to my mind. Wolf climbing the hill is always hungrier than the wolf at the hill. So that gets to my mind when you talk about that. So it's really much aligned with that. So that's cool. So how do you define success for you and for your team? Because team is what you said you put a very stress on that word. So while you are forming your own company, how do you define success for your team and for you?
Yeah, and on a personal note, and then we'll talk about the team. On a personal note, I think my definition of success has changed so much. to when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, to now when I'm in my 40s. Um, when I was in my early 20s and late 30s, success to me was really related with financial wealth. Can I have a big house? Can I have many cars? Can I live in an amazing home? Can I have the flexibility and freedom to do whatever I want to do? It was very much defined on how much money I make and what my position in my career was. Um, but as I've gotten older, as I've had kids on my own, as I've gone down this startup journey, as I've come to know myself a lot better, that definition of success has changed from material wealth to more so impact and the value I bring to the table. And what is the work I'm doing every day creating impact that's making things around me better? Is the interactions I'm having with individuals in my life adding value to them, and I able to be of service to them in whatever way? That to me is success, if you're able to be of service. And that's such an important terminology because I didn't understand what that meant when I was younger. I wanted to be served when I was younger. As I get older, I rather be of service. And so same with my team. If I think of what they define as success, we started this company together. Many of them were around the first few people that were with us, and we had a definition of where we wanted to be as a company. We had a definition of what kind of impact we wanted to have. We had a definition of who we wanted to serve. And I fast forward to 7 8 years later, and I really think the fact that we're still together, and it's the fact that we're still doing what we wanted to do, what we started to do many years ago, is that we are indeed being of service. We're indeed having impact. We're indeed having value. So I think that's how I would summarize it. Success moved from a material understanding of my belongings to much more an understanding of impact, value, being of service. And I wish I understood that when I was a lot younger. But again, there's a time and place for everything. And I needed to grow up as an individual to understand that's really what matters.
Fantastic answer. I loved it. Now, following that, can you share a moment in your life that the the time when you felt like so accomplished or fulfilled? Because success, once you hit that moment, you feel so accomplished in it. Can you explain that moment and explain it in a way so that the team can understand how to live that? Because most of the people get the success, but they can't handle it, right? So how did you, because you're so grounded person to, but how did you manage to get that success and still be grounded? Can you share
Yeah,
that?
yeah, for sure. So I think two emotions that I tend to embody a lot is just being very grateful for everything you have. I think we're all very blessed, and I have to not remind myself, but I'm very cognizant of how blessed we all are. The fact that we can have a conversation in a country that allows us to be able to do what we want to do and be safe and have these opportunities. We're very blessed to do that. But I read the other day two of the luckiest things that you can ever have, or two of the things that can dictate where you will end up in life, is where you're born and who you're born to. And you can't control that. That's luck. You can't control where you're born. You can't control who you're born to. All you can control is what's thrown at you when that happens. And we're very blessed to be in a position, in a situation where hopefully, we were, at least for me personally, I was born to parents that really loved me and took care of me and gave me the opportunities, and I was born in an environment that allowed me to excel and have the opportunities. So I'm very blessed, and it had nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. So I think I just understand and embodying the fact that how blessed we are, and then being grateful for everything that's thrown at you, I think is really important. And I think that's really where I look at my life and I think about that's what satisfies me. And so, to your question, if I look at moments where I feel the most fulfilled, the first moment is very personal to me, and that is really when my kids were born, because that was my first grounding moment. That was the first moment where I felt grateful and I felt blessed because now I have the opportunity to influence my own family and give them the opportunity and give them the love that was given to me. So I'm paying it back. And I know you've had a little one recently as well, so I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is a miracle to witness life. It really is a miracle to witness life. So I was blessed there. I was also blessed in sadness when both my parents passed, because as they passed, I was with them and I was holding their hands as they took their last breath. And to me, that's a blessing, because they held my hand when I took my first breath, and I was very blessed. As tragic and as much as in grief I was very blessed to have that opportunity and have that moment with them as they passed, to be right next to them and hold their hand, and have them see me, and vice versa. And so, I look at everything like that as a blessing. And then the second time, or the second moment that that I felt the most fulfilled, was really when we started EnergyX, because it was always a path that I wanted to take. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to make sure I could wait for the right moment at the right time, and everything just fit together. We had the idea. We were able to identify a problem that we knew was going to be needed to be solved, and we were able to raise money in a very short time to be able to do so. We were able to get the team together to do so, and we were able to get our clients in place. So everything really fell together at the right time, at the right place, and that was very fulfilling. So, hopefully that gives you an idea of a personal fulfillment that's marred by birth and death, and of a business fulfillment that's really marred by the ability to see an idea that takes shape, right? Like, I think Victor Hugo said it the best: there's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And for us, from a business perspective, there was an idea whose time had come, and that was very powerful, and that was very fulfilling to experience.
Wow, brilliant answer. Both the answer I can relate with, and that was such a great point. With the kid example, I have just recently gone through it with just 1 month back, and I can understand that were the best days of my life. I was thinking it could be like getting to a big school, or getting that best job, or we underestimate the happiness sometimes. And you said it very nicely. What a beautiful answer that is. I'm gonna keep that in my mind for a long time. So that's the wrap with the regular questions. I wanted to ask you some of the quick rapid fire questions, which is the fun part of this podcast. I have some questions with me right now, so I'm going to shoot at you. Just if we can
Go ahead.
quickly give answers, and it could be one liner or more. You can answer it the way you want. So the first question I have is favorite book on entrepreneurship or finance.
Yeah, there's one that I read, and I love it. It's called Start with No by Jim Camp, and it's one
Okay.
of the best negotiation books you'll ever come across. And it talks about the fact that no is in any negotiation, no is the starting point, not yes, because no tells you exactly what cannot happen, and then that allows you to understand what can happen. So Start with No by Jim Camp, swear by it. I read it. I've read it many times, and one of the best books I've read on business, negotiation, life in general.
Wow, I never read that book. So thanks for recommending that. I'm definitely going to watch it out. One thing you do every day to stay productive.
Oh yeah, meditate every morning as soon as I get up, half an hour, and it swear by it, grounds me. The days I don't do it, I feel amiss. I feel like something's missing. And again, when I first started meditating, there was so much more powerful than what the meditations are now. Now it's just become habitual. It's just become a requirement. But definitely swear by it.
So can I ask you a question there? Like, what kind of meditation do you do, if you don't mind me asking that?
Yeah, so very much breathing. There's a series of movements. So when you do the engineering work in an engineering workshop, he walks through 5 or 6 different breathing movements, which ends then with a reflection. And it's a series of movements that he's put together. And this is Sadhguru. He's put together that really helps get you to a very reflective and meditated state over time, and that's the meditation. So I don't know what the terminology around it is, but it's a number of different breathing movements over time that then ends with a 7 or 8 minute uh, um, process where you're sitting in still, you're sitting in full silence, and yeah, it's a sequence that really works for me.
Wow, great that you are able to take time from your busy schedule for
Oh
this.
my gosh, in fact, I think, what's the saying, if you don't have time to meditate, then meditate.
Good one. Favorite quote that inspires you.
Yeah, here's one that I came across, and I love it. I love it. The definition of hell is: on your last day of earth, you will meet the person you could have become. And I just find I get the chills every time I hear it, because it talks about trying to be your best potential all the time, and trying to learn from every day and be your better self. Because at the end, you will meet your better self, and that's where you'll realize who you could have actually been. So try to be that as much as you can on your day-to-day life.
That's very good. One piece of advice you would give to your younger self.
Yeah, when you have ham and eggs for breakfast, the chicken is involved, but the pig is committed. Right? So I'll repeat that. When you have ham and eggs for breakfast, the chicken is involved, but the pig is committed. So be the pig, be committed. Just don't be involved, be committed. That's the true success in life, in anything, for me at least, in marriage, in being a parent, in running your business, in being a friend. Be committed.
I heard this thing during the Scrum certification I was doing. I heard this thing is a Scrum theory, and they said that be a pig to become a committed person there. What a philosophy that is.
And now you understand, when you're having breakfast, the pig is committed, right?
Yes, true, true. How do you handle stress and pressure? I'm asking all this question because this could help our colleagues or our
Yeah,
audience to understand all those things.
it's a productivity hack. So many years ago, when we bought our home, we built a full-fledged designer gym. You name it, bench press, squat rack, dumbbells, you name it, and we did it way before COVID. And every morning, my wife and I will be up early, and we'll hit the gym. In fact, the kids join us now. It's we have no need to leave our house actually, because we've got the gym, we've got the sauna, we've got the ice water bath, all next to each other. And if I'm not meditating, or if I'm not working with EnergyX, I'm definitely at the gym, really trying to exercise and keep healthy. And it's been a great productivity hat, because it's in a house. It has everything we need, and it really allows me to stay focused.
And you are living lifestyle. Thank you so much for this interview and this podcast session. Any last minute or final thought you have for the audience?
Yeah, I just want to commend you for what you're doing. I think there is uh, a lot of learnings that we can get from a lot of us that are out there trying to do things, and the fact that you're able to get those folks together and speak about what works for them, so that your audience can take nuggets that work for them, and allow them to be better, I think is so important. And so I know this takes a lot of time. I know it takes a lot of effort. I know, I can imagine all the time and production you've got to put in to get this message out. But keep doing what you're doing, man. I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth, and truly grateful for you to have me, and for allowing me to at least share what I've learned in my journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nishant. This has been pleasure. The way we communicated across so many topics and in such a way, and you brought out lots of enlightenment when you were giving answers because it was more from heart, straight to the point, helping people understand. These are not easy things, whatever you said, but it takes time. And all this came from your experience, from your hard work, from your thoughtfulness. Thank you so much. Each and every answer which you gave was tremendous, and it is definitely going to impact a lot of lives, and it has definitely impacted me, and I'm a big fan of yours, as you I have always said. And thank you so much by showing through an example.
Of course,
Appreciate
truly appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
it. Thank you. Bye.